Hello, kids and parents. Welcome back to our trainings on bullying. Today, I'm going to be telling two short stories for kids on the topic of bullying and rumors. So, at the end of these two short stories, I'm also going to be giving parents a couple of hands on activities that will help reinforce the learning from these two stories. And so you can either let your kids watch these stories as I tell them, or you can memorize them and tell them to your kids yourself. Our first story is called Grandma's Dandelion, a story about gossip. There once was a girl who loved to gossip. She would always talk about people behind their backs. Eventually, she started losing her friends because they realized they couldn't trust her. When she saw what her gossiping had done, she went to apologize to her friends, but they weren't sure they wanted to be her friend again. She wasn't sure what to do next, so she went to talk to her grandma, who always had the best advice. She told her grandma what had happened and said, "But I apologized and they still don't want to be friends again." Her grandma smiled at her and said, "Come with me to the garden." Grandma's garden was the most beautiful place. She spent a lot of time planting flowers. Birds and butterflies would come to visit. Grandma pulled a dandelion from the grass and gently blew on it. The wind carried the seeds over the grass, above the fence, and far off into the distance. When the girl could no longer see the seeds, Grandma turned to her and said, "Now I want you to pick up all the dandelion seeds and bring them back to me." The girl looked at her grandma in surprise. "But the wind blew the seeds all over the place. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to find them all." Grandma smiled and said, "Yes, it's impossible. Gossip is a lot like those seeds. We can't control how far it goes, and no matter how sorry we are, once they're out there, we can't take our words back." Our next short story is called The Gatepost, a story about bullying. There once was a boy who had a very mean mouth. He would call his classmates names, make fun of his friends, and would lash out at others when he would get angry. One day, he told his dad that he wanted to stop saying mean words, but it was so hard. His dad had an idea. He brought a hammer and a bag of nails out to their wooden gate and told his son, "Each time you say something mean, you are going to hammer a nail into the gatepost. Each time you say something kind or apologize, you can take a nail out." For 2 weeks, the boy would come home and hammer 3 or 4 nails into the post. It didn't take long before the post was full of nails. One weekend, the boy stood there staring at the post full of nails. He was determined to start taking nails out, so he made a promise to himself to control his tongue and to say kind words to others. It was hard, but the boy would come home each day, proud of himself that he was being kinder. Gradually, the nails started to come out and no new nails went in. The day came when the dad watched as his son pulled out the last nail after school. The boy danced around exclaiming, "I did it! I took out all the nails!" He looked at his dad, who was standing there staring at the gatepost. He asked his dad, "Aren't you proud of me? I took out all the nails. Why do you look so sad?" His dad pointed to the gatepost and said to his son, "Yes, you did. What makes me sad is, even though the nails are gone, the scars of the nails still remain." So these are some hands-on activities to spark discussion with your kids after listening to these stories, or even if you just want to do them as standalone activities. So if you're a teacher or you're a parent who is talking to your kids about the topic of bullying or rumors, then I encourage you to use some of these activities. So the first one goes along with our Gatepost story. You will need a hammer with a claw at the back, preferably one per child. You'll need a couple of nails with broad heads so it's easy for the children to strike them and push them into the wood. You'll also need some wood planks or blocks. Some of the other activities, the paper heart activity, you'll need a large paper heart cut out. It's also good if it's red or pink to symbolize a heart. And for our toothpaste activity, you simply need toothpaste and a toothbrush. So that one could be done as you watch your kids brush their teeth at night. You can have a discussion about this and do this toothpaste and toothbrush activity with them. So for our hammer and nail activity, the adults are going to demonstrate how to safely hammer nails into a wood plank or block and remove them with the claw of the hammer. Right? This can take some practice if you haven't done it before. You also want to demonstrate safely how to hold the nail and the hammer so that they don't hit their thumb. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit of a painful activity for them. And they're going to remember this activity for some other reason rather than the being able to pull out the nails. So yes, make sure that they're able to do that safely. Now, when you have the kids drive in the nails to the wood, you can also demonstrate how to use the fulcrum to pull the nails out. Demonstrate that to them instead of having them try to pull it straight out, because that's not going to really work. And simply ask them, when they're able to successfully do this, ask them what they notice about the wood that they pulled the nail out of. Now, slightly older kids may notice, oh, look, there is a hole left in the wood, right? And if they do that, they can hammer in 4 or 5 different nails and then pull out the nails one by one, rather than do it one at a time. And so this is, again, where you can have them do this activity first and then have them watch the video, have them watch the story and then tell them the story. But this is a really fun activity and something that I use with kids in our after school club, and something that the kids tell me to this day they still remember. Now, the toothpaste activity is very simple in that it's the same thing, the same concept of once words come out of our mouth, even when we say we're sorry, it's very difficult to take back or change the effect or the damage that it's done. So we want to have the kid squeeze out some toothpaste onto the toothbrush. Now you can ask them, after they do that, to try to put the toothpaste back into the tube, and ask them what they notice about the task. How easy was it to squeeze the toothpaste out onto the toothbrush? And how easy is it to put it back into the tube? And when you try to put it back into the tube, is it easy to do? Is it hard? Does it make a big mess? Is it clean? Right? Ask them questions, and then gradually bring the conversation around to see how difficult it is to clean up, to get that toothpaste back into the tube after it's come out. Our words are the same. This is why we want to be careful about the words that come out of our mouth, because it's very difficult to change and apologize and change the result of what happened as a result of our words. And for younger children, I'd say kids as young as 4 or 5, you can do the paper heart activity with them. So we want to give them each a beautiful paper heart that I would say pink or red to symbolize a real heart, and how when we're born, we're starting off with a beautiful, smooth heart that is, we all start off with a heart that is big and open. And when we grow up, we experience things that hurt us, like bullying or mean words, right? Each of these experiences hurt our hearts. And as we talk about this, we're saying these words, we can demonstrate by folding the heart, making little folds. You can fold it in half. You can fold it over little bit by little bit. And as we continue to talk, we're going to say, over time, our heart can feel small and closed, which stops us from wanting to connect with others, right? We try to protect ourselves by closing our heart off. And so even when we receive an apology, and when we say this, we demonstrate by unfolding the heart one by one fold at a time, our heart still carries the mark of those hurtful words. And what I like to do in this at this point of the conversation is that I share a personal story about how I was bullied when I was 9 years old. And even though I know those words aren't true now as an adult, I still remember them. And so this is why, even though we as adults can understand that these words are not true, they still can leave a mark on our hearts. And this is why we want to be careful about the words we say to others. So I hope those two short stories and these hands-on activities are going to be helpful for you in starting to have these conversations with your kids. Bye for now.